You're listening to the Geekscape Network.
Time to fire up the VCR. This one's my favorite.
Welcome to Analog Jones in the Temple of Film. I'm Steve.
I'm Matt.
And we're a VHS podcast that looks at the box art trailers and behind the scenes. And we are starting our listener submission month.
So we got an email from Chase Laxner, who is a friend of ours and listener of the show. He recommended a movie that people have recommended us to do verbally a lot also. This one fits our brand, I think, and people really wanted to see us tackle this one. And this is what Chase wrote to us here. Hey, y'all, can you do a review of Critters, which is 703 times better than Gremlins, but only 24 times better than Ghoulies? I did the math. I think his math kind of checks out. I love all of those films, but, you know, Ghoulies will always have a special place in my heart. But we are talking about Critters.
Of all the planets in the galaxy, they chose ours. They hide in small places.
This phone is dead.
What?
They light the dark.
Jay, any luck?
Just a minute.
There's nothing cute about them. They've come a long way. And they're hungry. Critters. They bite.
First of all, Chase, good suggestion. I love Critters.
Yeah, I've seen Critters. I've seen Critters 2 probably about 100 times. But I've seen Critters a bunch too. I remember renting this from the video store. This was one though for me, probably because I wasn't an 80s kid. Mm-hmm. This is one I kind of saw a little later, not a lot later. Like, while I was deep into my horror fandom, I was like, what are the movies I need to see as I'm deep in my horror fandom? And this was on the list, and that's when I saw it. You know, I was probably like 12 or something like that, so I was a little older.
Yeah, I definitely saw Critters 2 before Critters.
Critters 2 is always on Sci-Fi, so I've seen that one like 100 times. But I knew I needed to go back and see this one, and I rented them all. And actually, I remember when I was 12, I didn't like Critters 2 so much. I liked 1 the best. And then I went and saw 3 and 4, which I fucking hated. I probably would like them now. But I did not like those 2 movies.
I don't remember jack shit about 4. Other than, obviously, they're in space. But I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, I watched after I watched this movie, I watched just the trailers. I didn't have time to watch the other 3, but I watched the trailers for the other 3 just to kind of refresh my memory on them. Mm-hmm. Whew, that series goes through some.
Yeah. Now, see, did Warner Brothers buy it from New Line?
No, this is all New Line.
Yeah, Warner Brothers owns it now.
Well, Warner Brothers owns New Line.
Yeah, I mean, now they do.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was like a before purchase, because I didn't know.
No, this was always New Line.
Okay.
This is always New Line, and now the fine folks at Scream Factory have put out the 4-disc set of this whole series as well.
I know. I looked into buying that. I'll put a link for everyone if they want to buy it for that, because I don't know. Why not?
And if we do that, Scream Factory, hey, if you want to sponsor us, we'll...
You're just going to keep saying that?
We'll fucking take it, like we'll talk about the bonus features on your movies when we talk about the VHS of it originally. Come on, guys. Throw us a freaking bone here.
Yeah, Scream, hook us up. So this one to me, I always mix with the second one too. I'll talk about it when we get into the film, but I just get lost. These two blend together, and that's kind of a credit to just how fun they are. I think.
Well, also I think too, it's the second movie has a lot going on, like it's like 6 movies in one, and this movie doesn't have a lot going on. Not bashing this movie, it's just a very simple story. You follow one family and their farm being attacked by the critters. That's it. Like, it's very simple.
I picked up on this film. Something that I love in these B movies is when you keep it small. And I'm not talking like Creepazoid small, where they just shot it in like a one building.
Don't you talk shit about Creepazoids now.
Hey, I said some good things about Creepazoids, but I'm saying like you keep it confined, just not that confined.
Well, yeah, you having one farm, one location, 10 speaking characters on screen or whatever in the movie. You can spend the money then on the critters.
Yeah, you keep the world small. That's really what I'm trying to say. There's something about the 80s did it really well in a lot of movies. The 90s started to expand everything, had to make it bigger, like include so much more.
This is still part of the less is more before the 90s when more was more.
Yeah. Write that down, folks. I like the confined world of a lot of the 80s films. Keeps it small, and the characters seem more... I don't know. I'm not going to say likable. I don't know the word for it, but they charm. There's some type of charm in like these small worlds. Goonies had it really well. It's charming. These tiny, but that was done by, some really super talented people. Not that this wasn't, but this was a small movie, $2 million budget. This is how you do it.
Yeah, no, I think that's the 80s. It was charming. That's these type of movies from the 80s. But they're charming, and that's why people like them, and that's why they last.
Well, even with Twister, the last movie that we talked about last week, that kind of felt confined too.
A little bit
more. For the big budget, expansion, everything's bigger and better in the 90s, it felt more confined compared to the others.
Even though you had 2 competing teams or whatever in that movie, it was still a fairly small cast for a 90s movie. Because 90s movies had thousands and thousands of extras in them everywhere because more was more.
But basically, we're concentrating on one team. And I feel in this movie, turning it back to it, we're concentrating on one family.
Right. We do get some of the space story, and we get some of the town story, but mostly our focus is the family and the critters attacking their home.
Yep, and what this film does, just like last week with Twister, is the main characters, Scott Grimes, the little kid, and Dee Wallace, the mom. The dad and the other daughter, I don't know, but Scott Grimes and Dee Wallace are really fun to watch.
Yeah, they stand out.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And then we have a bunch of colorful characters around that make it, that keep you engaged.
Yeah.
So, it feels like you can get away with a lot of shit if you just really concentrate on a small group and make it damn good.
Also, I think you win over an audience if you drop a little bit of Billy Zane in your cast, too. That helps.
Well, I mean, the Zane can do no wrong.
Oh, how exciting was it to see him again in this? I know he's in this. I didn't forget that. But, it's so fun when he pops up here.
Yeah, I didn't forget he was in it. But I did forget how, nice he is. He's supposed to be the rebel without a cause when he first pulls. Oh, we're getting to breaking down the scene. You know what? Okay, we got to get off that. Let's go with our format here. You want to pop in this, or you want to talk about this box art?
Yeah. So for those who don't know what Critters is, but are listening to this podcast, who are you and what rock do you live under? This is a brand new VHS, by the way.
Yes, go ahead and play with the plastic right over there. I took it off.
This is fresh, ladies and gentlemen. This was still in the RCA Columbia Pictures plastic. You broke this open for us to watch this. You're a saint. No, I did. I had to ask you. I said, "Is it okay if we open this?" And you were like, "Yeah, I don't care. Let's watch it." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, I'm not the person who keeps the toy in the plastic. I'm like, nah, it was made to be watched. There was part of me where I was speculating, is this even the original plastic? And then I saw, and the reason I kept this plastic was there's a little thing in the back that says this emblem will be here if it's the original. And when I took it off, the emblem is like it matched the back of the box. I was like, wow. So that's how they did that.
This is OG original, one of the RCA Columbia Pictures box arts. And if you are a VHS collector like us, you'll know the RCA Columbia Pictures VHSs by their unmistakable black sides with the red frame. Ghostbusters, this is their thing with the RCAs.
I think it's about what 85 to 89 they did
somewhere
these
in
style.
there. Yeah.
Oh, they got some really good ones. They did a Close Encounters re-release.
Yeah,
that
had this the black with the red. Mm-hmm. We're gonna do another one at the end of this month, also.
What
just a tease for the look up the RCAs and maybe you'll figure out what it's gonna be.
Yeah, but you know what? I didn't like these as a kid, and as an adult, I love them.
Yeah, I love the uniformity. I love that I could put all my RCAs together and they'll all look like this.
And a lot of their art was illustration or painting.
Yeah, so we're going to get into the front here. It is just a fucking massive critter in the middle of the road on a painted canvas, I guess, because you've got the background being spaced with the two shooting stars, and the bottom foreground into the background is like the farm landscape, and just a critter standing in the middle of the road.
I love their malicious little deviant smile.
Yes. It's so funny, like, when I watched the trailers, they were on the DVD for this. The DVD's menu, like the original DVD, not the Scream Factory one. I'm poor, so I have the old DVD. Yeah. But it has this image, and they just do that thing where they, like, just stretch the pic. They don't make it move, but they just stretch it and add, like, sound effects. And they, like, stretch its stomach out and make, like, a whip noise, like a whoosh. And I don't know why. I don't know what the reason for it, but like, it's pretty funny. If you have the DVD of this, you just go back and watch that menu for a second.
Yeah, this art, the art on the first and second Critters, man, talk about just perfect stuff to attract, 8 to 13-year-olds or whatever.
Yeah, if I had never heard of this movie before and I had seen this cover of just like a little goblin critter thing on the front smiling at me, I'd be like, yeah, I gotta rent this. I gotta see what this is. Because I know or at least I think in my head, I'm gonna see this thing in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see this thing in action. Yes, and it is in the movie. So that's another bonus of like, hey, they're not lying to you. Flipping it over to the back here, here's our description. Both thumbs up, said Siskel and Ebert, about Critters, a horrific story of carnivorous aliens who come to Earth in a feeding frenzy for human flesh. It's no picnic for the Brown family when a lethal litter of Krites arrives unannounced at their Kansas farm. Trapped in a deadly nightmare, the terrified Browns fight for their lives against the attacking, bloodthirsty monsters. But it's a losing battle until two intergalactic bounty hunters arrive determined to blow the hellish creatures off the planet. It's an alien adventure full of action and just crawling with critters. PG-13. Now, how surprised were you when you saw both thumbs up from... First of all, they don't say Siskel and Ebert. They say Ebert and Siskel, which is odd. But both thumbs up. Like, they both liked it. That is a little surprising. Yeah, it was very surprising. I kind of get it because this is kind of a charming movie, and it is a mostly beloved kind of horror movie. I kind of get it, but still, even then, like, they're pretty hard on horror. Yes, but I also figured out, I started to look through, I went through a rabbit hole. They've got a soft spot for monster films. That might be why. Yeah, it's not, especially Ebert's back in the 80s, 90s, and sometimes in the 2000s. God, he was so rough on horror. Yeah, Siskel used to be the one that was a little more leeway on horror. I just remember his like glowing like review of Carnosaur when that came out. Yeah, he loved it. And I think he said he liked it more than Jurassic Park at the time when it came out or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, Siskel, you're like,
No.
you're talking about Carnosaur right now.
No, but there it is, like the little monsters.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
I think I don't even think they hated Ghoulies that much. Or maybe it was Munchies. One of the
one of the many of these that came out.
But it was just like little monsters. They have a thing for a couple of these charming little monster movies.
Well, we can talk about that for a second. This is Critters is the sort of first ripoff of Gremlins we get. We get this and then immediately followed by Ghoulies.
Yeah, and you know, the director, the writer, they both very much went in public, said no, this was written many years before Gremlins came out. It's just no one would do it.
Right. It's not necessarily a Gremlins ripoff story-wise or anything like that. It's just like all of a sudden they realized those movies made money, and that's why they got to work. That's why this happened.
Because Gremlins was such a success in 84?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the reason we got this. New Line's like, hey, you know what? We saw this. We're going to do it.
Yeah. And thank God they did. I mean, and it's funny. I wanted to point out too, the I guess the original writer of the movie is still making little creature movies because he's writing for Full Moon now and is doing like the Evil Bongs and the Gingerdead Man.
Gingerdead Man, Evil Bong, Domonic Muir.
I actually think he just died recently.
Oh, did he?
I think so.
Well, I mean, it also had a lot of, Stephen Herek, who was the director, he wrote a little bit on it. And then Don Keith Opper, who plays Charlie in the film, and he has writing credits for all the Critters film and a couple other stuff. So, it's this film, it's written how it should be.
Yeah, I mean, these three writers came together very well and wrote exactly the kind of creature movie that everybody likes today, you know?
Yeah, and then their cast, whoever did casting for this, you know, obviously Dee Wallace, everyone's favorite mom, from E.T. to Cujo to I don't know. She's a scream queen.
Yeah, no, Dee Wallace is amazing, and she's she's the mom. She's the horror movie mom. Always,
yeah. She does a terrific job of always seeing. She's always so pristine.
Yeah, but
it's fun to really make someone who's so clean. And it seems like Dee Wallace probably doesn't even cuss in real life.
Right.
Like she won't say a swear word.
Right. She just seems so. Yeah. That kind of person, you know.
And also, she's 70 years old, and I saw a picture of her today, and I was like, wow, you still look good. You still look
almost exactly the same.
Yeah,
like, it's insane.
I don't know what the hell, what kind of diet you're on, but good job.
I think just working and doing what you love, like these kind of movies and just getting, having fun, I think is what kept her young.
Yeah, I saw a picture of her today, and I could have swore, I was like, oh, she's probably like, what, 60, 55, somewhere around there? Even though then in the math in my head, I go, wait, that's not possible.
Yeah.
And then I saw 70, I was like, what?
Yeah, no, she is super young looking, and it's probably because she gets to have fun in wacky ass movies like this.
Yeah. And then getting the kid, this is always something big in a movie too. Child actors are tough. You have a lot of restrictions on them, but just a lot of them can't act.
Yeah. Not Scott Grimes, though.
No, Scott Grimes
can carry this movie.
I could not believe how good he was.
I mean, just watching this movie, I think I said out loud a few times, like, what a little star. He's just hamming it up for the camera, but not in an annoying way, just like the precocious teen that's in these type of movies, but just gets it.
Yeah.
He's great.
Well, he's one of my favorite characters in Band of Brothers.
I never saw that.
Oh, that's because you hate America.
Yeah.
That's
it. That's the reason. Nailed it.
Yeah. Or you just don't want to watch a 10 series. You don't have time to watch 10 episodes of a series, which I completely understand, actually, because I'm doing my 2018 top 10 list that we'll do, and I realized all the movies that I watched, and I go, yeah, fuck, no wonder I don't watch any TV.
Yeah. That is my problem. It's not that I don't have the time. It's that I'm just always watching movies. Now it's that I don't have the time because Horrorama season has started for me. But like before, I had the time. I just can't watch shows. I'm ingesting too many VHSs.
I know. I'm kind of like lost when people are like, "Oh wow, you haven't seen Bumblebee yet? I thought you saw all the movies." And then I told them, I go, "I haven't seen one theater movie in December. I didn't have any time because Christmas was a fucking brutal schedule for me. It was insane."
Also, I mean, this is totally a tangent, but whatever. It seemed like 400 fucking movies came out in December, and I was like, where were those the rest of the year when I had time to watch them all? Like,
I agree. I'm like, can we stop stuffing all these at the Christmas break? I don't have... What? How? Even if you don't travel, Christmas just seems like it's hectic.
I didn't travel, and I can't keep up with all the things that are in theaters.
Yeah, I saw how much money Aquaman made, and I go, who the fuck's going to these?
Yeah, I don't understand how any of these movies could come out. Like, I'm surprised some of them didn't just get swallowed up and never seen, because it would seem like every week in December, like 10 movies came out. And with 5 weeks or whatever, 5 release weeks in December, who's got time to see all 50 of these movies?
Yeah, I only saw Bird Box because I could download it and then watch it on the plane. That's it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have saw that. So
yeah, I didn't even have time to watch that yet. So, fuck. I'm behind.
I don't think you'll like it.
I probably won't.
Yeah, there's just something, I watch it and I'm like, this isn't a Matt movie.
Yeah.
And I can't pinpoint it. I really cannot.
It's a magical thing. When you get to know me, you can kind of tell what movies I will like and not like.
Yeah, and I was like, it's good.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm
So
gonna
if I
watch
put
it.
that on the internet that it's good, I'll probably get destroyed because you're like, you've not committed or hated
Yeah,
enough.
right. Exactly.
Stop sitting in the middle, Steve.
But you know what movie is great is Critters.
So let's fucking put that shit in.
And now, our feature presentation.
Oh no! Damn it, New Line, you let me down. There's no trailers.
This is an oldie though. That's probably why. It's
Yeah.
it's an oldie. It's before New Line took over. It's when RCA was still doing it.
Well, yeah, I guess RCA. Let's see, this was RCA Columbia.
Yep.
When did TriStar come into that?
That was around in the late 80s.
Was it? Because
Yeah.
didn't TriStar Columbia? So what happened to the RCA? Do you know the history of this?
Well, it started off all the Columbia Sony movies. Well, they weren't Sony yet, but basically what became Sony would come out through RCA, and then eventually they broke off from RCA and joined up with TriStar, and that's when they basically formed with the Sony stuff. And when those started coming out is when they dropped New Line. So New Line was on its own then at that point, and then it was the Columbia TriStar stuff.
Yeah, and then New Line eventually got into like, because I mean I knew RCA did a lot of this home distribution. That's how they, that's how they got to be known.
Well, and RCA is also like a famous record label too.
Yeah.
So
Well, in the movie, I was talking about like the movie department. They got to be known really well because I know they just did so many home releases, which I thought was funny. Like, so New Line is known as a distribution company that turned into a production company,
right?
That then finally turned into a all-in-one
studio. Yeah.
But I guess New Line was only distributing to U.S. and Canada theaters. They wouldn't do their own home movies.
They didn't have enough money to. They couldn't afford to do it.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, they started off super low budget and had to, release in theaters only, and that's how they kind of gained their footing. And they didn't start doing their own stuff until like 94.
It had to be 94 because when we did Surviving the Game, they still weren't doing their own home video distribution, but somehow they got their own trailers on it.
Yeah. It was 99. The Mask was the first one I think they did on their own.
Well, they made enough money in
with the Mask. They could.
Yeah. So, Bob Shea. Let's feature presentation. Let's actually let's get into this.
Yeah, I don't think we need to bore our listeners with scene by scene.
No.
But like, let's talk about Critters.
The highlights. Here's one thing that always forgets in this film, and I did it again this time. The whole alien thing at the beginning, fucking forget every time.
Yeah, I kind of think I always get it mixed up with Night of the Creeps that has the essentially same opening. And I like Night of the Creeps opening a little bit more. Well, I like that movie more than this movie. But it's very similar. Killer Clowns too, it feels like, that kind of opening.
Yeah, I don't quite understand why they do this. I feel like you could almost start this on Earth with alien bounty hunters coming down. But whatever, it doesn't.
We get some extra creatures out of it that way. Then I'll take that.
I do love how they were bringing the critters here to be judged, but they had to kill 2 of them because they're eating too damn much. Then when they get them here, they're going to judge them to execute them, but you've already killed them. If you're going to kill them, just kill them. Why are you bringing them all the way to a prison to kill them?
I don't know what that whole section of the movie is about. I still don't. I've seen this movie a bunch of times. I couldn't fucking tell you. I have no idea. I know they're prisoners and they end up on Earth and the bounty hunters have to get them. But sort of the minutia, the reasons of why and what they're going to do, I have no fucking clue.
Well, if they were taking them there to put them in jail to experiment on them and then they ran away, that would make more sense. But then you'd kind of feel like sympathy for the critters.
Yeah, I really don't know. I really don't know.
But I do love how the blue alien, the really cheap looking alien, by the way, the blue guy who's like the leader he's just like, get me the bounty hunters, and they just come out of pretty much the next room, and you're like, so what are the bounty hunters just sitting behind him the whole time, waiting for someone to escape? How bad is this prison? With their white, fleshy, opaque faces things that they have, yeah. Anyway, so I do gotta admit when the when the rock star comes on,
Terrence Mann.
Yeah, Terrence Mann. That's a sweet song.
Oh yeah, super 80s, rocking out.
It was called the Power.
Power of the Night.
Power of the Night. Yeah.
It's a call of the wild, and it's a call of rock and roll.
I mean, from moment one in this movie, because you start off with space, you get the creatures, and you get the rock star, you immediately set the tone. You immediately know what you're in for with this movie. You're like, okay. But then also, I feel like with having all that kind of elevates it above just like a normal creature feature, because I think if you would have started just on the farm and had the creature show up, yeah, it would have been a super fun movie. But I think having this extra element is what says, hey, we're here, and this is we're different from all the other shit that's out. I don't know. I think it sets it apart a little bit.
Well, it's also comical watching these little bitty hands that the critters have trying to fly this plane. You're like, okay, are you buying that these little guys can fly the plane? Okay, then this is your type of movie.
Yeah, exactly. They withhold the critters for a while, though. You kind of see them, but you never really see them until they're actually in the farm and they're revealed in that basement scene. You never really fully see them yet until then.
No,
they're kind of withheld for a while.
A little bitty hand, right?
Yeah, you see the little hand, and then there's a great shot in that basement scene when they do arrive at the farm, where it's either Scott Grimes' back or his dad's back is to that bookshelf, and you don't notice, but then you kind of notice that there's something sitting there on the shelf, and then they flash the light, and it's finally revealed or whatever. Yeah. But that kind of moment of realization of oh fuck, something's there is great. It works so well.
I do love it when they do that in movies. They show off something, but it's in the background.
It's they're in plain sight, but it's in the background, and your attention isn't being drawn to it.
It's not in focus,
right?
In a way, yeah. I love it, and then they bring it to focus really quick, and you're like, whoa!
And there it is. There's our critters that we know and love from 4 fucking movies.
So this movie also starts off when they're introducing the town with 2 quotes that one I adore, and the other one scares the shit out of me. The dad, when Scott Grimes' little character is trying to get out of school, by putting the little thermometer under the hot water. And Wallace is like, 106, get out of here. And his dad, you're going to go to school or I'm going to skin you and hang your balls out to dry. What?
Maybe you'll do as well on this test, Brad, as you did on your last one.
What last test?
Bye.
Brad? Get yourself ready for school, boy.
Dad!
You miss that bus, I'm gonna skin you and hang your bones out to dry.
Thank you for the lovely breakfast you prepared, Mother. What happened to Charlie?
Yeah. No, the dad's pretty feisty in this one. He's pretty fiery. He's got some one-liners in here that are fucking nuts.
Fuck, I the whole time I'm watching this, I was like, where do I know that man from? And then I finally realized, I go, oh, fuck, it's the guy from Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah. Yeah, he's, who's his character in that?
I don't know, but that's his last, I think that's one of his last movies, and he's creepy as fuck in that.
Yeah, I can't remember who he is in that, but yeah, he's great in it. I remember him being fucking gross in it when...
Yeah, he's very gross.
When the Jason worm is in him and everything like that. Yeah. Yeah, that is what he is from. Keeping it in the New Line family.
Damn right. And then we have Lynn Shay, which is Bob Shay's sister. If none of you knew. That's why she's in so many early New Line films.
Yep.
That's how she got her start. Which, man, talk about taking off after that.
Taking off now. She could top line movies now. You put her name above a title and it sells.
Yeah, I know. You got the Insidious franchise. Wasn't she in both the... She was in one of the... what is the board game? Where the...
Oh, the Ouija. Yeah, she's in the
first
one?
She's in the first or second.
One of them. I get them confused, even though 2 is vastly superior over 1. I still get them confused.
I'm sure she's always going to be the tan woman to me in Something About Mary.
I always think of Kingpin.
Oh, she's gross in Kingpin.
Yeah, because she's nasty in Kingpin. When he's like throwing up after hooking up with her. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, and she does the tongue thing.
Yep.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah, God.
No, she's good.
I love you, Lynn Shay. Never change. Never go anywhere.
Yes, ever. But yeah, her quote in here when she's like reading the magazine, the sheriff comes up. She's like, or the sheriff says something like, hey, what's going on? And she goes, well, I'm reading this article right here that says John Travolta used to be a waitress in Florida. And he just looks at her and goes, what's happening here?
Morning, Harv.
Morning, Sal. What's happening?
Well, this here says that John Travolta used to be a waitress in Fort Myers, Florida.
What's happening here, Sal?
Big bowling tournament tonight. And Charlie, he's sleeping it off in the back.
I cracked up at that, but then I was thinking, what? Wait, what? Is that real? Is she really reading that out of a paper somewhere? Like, what? Huh?
National Enquirer, probably, or one of those fucking supermarket magazines.
I was like, where did that come from?
It's funny. She's funny in this movie.
It's so random. I think it has to be real. Like a really stupid article from one of those magazines.
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, the cool transformation. Yeah, I put that when the whole face was liquefying.
Yeah, when they adapt their faces, and the one guy can't get one to stay yet until he lands or whatever, but the other guy gets the rock star face immediately.
Yeah, I love his first face that he chooses is like the dead cop.
Yeah, so it's all fucked up and like purple looking and stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Johnny Steele. Damn it. That's such a great rock and roll name.
That's 80s Power of the Night singer name.
Power of the Night.
See,
Streets are calling.
See, we don't even need to put the YouTube version in there. Just put in your version of it.
I would love to put that on a t-shirt. That's a deep cut.
Yeah. And just like the Doesn't he have like in the music video like a glove on? Have just like the glove in the air, and it just says "Power of the Night," "Streets are calling" or something like that on there. Critters deep cut.
Just to walk around, just the one person who finally noticed.
No, dude, you step into a horror convention anywhere, every single one of those fucking nerds is gonna know what that is.
Yeah, one of my friends, they were like, "Wow, you guys know a lot about movies," and I'm like, I'm gonna speak for myself here. I am nothing compared to some of these nerds at conventions I've heard.
Oh yeah, it's like I know a lot of background stuff. I know stuff about studios. I know stuff about the history of movies and stuff like that. But if you ask me a specific moment that happens in a movie, I'm fucking clueless. You know what I mean? Like these guys know every second of every movie, and it's like, I'm sorry, I don't remember when that character said this character, you know? Like, I don't retain that shit. So, yeah, props to you nerds that wanted us to talk about Critters.
Yeah. I also noticed that there were at least 4 spots in this film where they use Power of the Night.
Yeah, they do.
I was like, you're really getting your money's worth on that song.
That's a Bob Shea play if I ever heard one. Like, we're paying for this song, we're using it a bunch of times.
The rest of it just put in like little synth sounds, which by the way, there were some pretty cool, like cheap, like one instrument, like
this movie sounds like my like youth watching the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yes,
it's because it's all of those movies have that soundtrack that used to run on the Sci-Fi Channel in the early 90s. Like that is what my childhood sounded like.
And the critters talking and what they say, in my opinion, is what separates this from Gremlins. I think Gremlins is a better film because the Gremlins design are just so good. But the one thing about this is, like, when the one critter, he's got a gun. He's like, so? And then he shoots him. He goes, oh, fuck.
Yeah. The way to get your fuck in there is have it be subtitles. You know, it's great. Yeah, no, that's really smart and fun.
Well, and they're fun, too. They're like...
Yeah, it's just like little sound effects.
By the way, that's the same guy who does Dale's voice in Rescue Rangers, Corey Burton.
Oh, nice.
Oh, he's got a great voice act. He's so good at his voice acting, and he does so many that if you go watch him on YouTube, it blows your mind.
It's weird to see like a face with those sounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're so used to seeing them in cartoons and in movies like this. It's weird to see like a person do it.
And he talked about what they did is like, oh, they just gave me a bunch of Japanese and told me to say it, and then a bunch of something else. I don't remember. It was Japanese and something else, and they just mixed them. Oh, Japanese and French.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's like, okay. And then they just mixed them all up, and he's every critter's voice.
That's hilarious. The critters themselves, too. Let's talk about those for a second. The Chiodo brothers making these fucking awesome puppets. These like incredible puppets.
Yeah. Killer Clowns from Outer Space like cemented them as cult film legends. But this is like what shot them off. This is what I always remember them, like their first one.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're just so damn talented. 3 brothers that basically, one does the illustration, one does all the sculpting and building, and then the other one does all the electronics. That's awesome. And their studio's still churning out cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean they do everything from like the mice dioramas and like Dinner for Schmucks to stuff like this, because they're going to be doing the new, which I'm sure we'll talk about in the behind the scenes. They're going to be doing the new Critters also.
Well, if that actually ever launches,
it's filming right now.
Are they actually doing it?
It's the show.
Well, because like they wanted to do a web series a couple years ago.
It's the show. It is. It's happening.
So they're
right
actually
now.
doing
Yep.
it. Okay.
It is being filmed as we speak.
Well, that's good because I just never trust this stuff anymore. There's so much crap online.
Yeah, you have to really sift through it.
Yeah.
I think I'm finding out how to kind of separate what's like real and rumor as I'm doing the Horrorama stuff, because obviously we solicit movies as well as take submissions. And when we're soliciting movies, it's like, well, what movie is really happening, or which is just like a rumor about, hey, they're gonna maybe make this,
Yeah.
So like you've got to learn to vet, and I'm getting better at that, and that's how I know that the Critters thing is actually happening.
All right, well, that's good to hear. Because these things, like just watching, because you can go online and watch some of the creation of the second one. I couldn't find much on the first one.
There really isn't. I don't think they knew they had a hit. They probably were like, this is fun, this is good, this is going to make money. I don't think they knew they had a franchise when they made this first one, though.
Well, no, and you can tell, too, that they were just putting up a bid, because the budget for this movie's $2 million. Now, they hit big with it, with $13.6 million in the U.S. gross, which is fantastic. For a small studio that only put up $2 million, that's jackpot money.
Yeah.
Especially in 1986. But, they only bid and got it for $100,000. That's all the Chiodo brothers got. That's not a lot of money for, like, because how much of that goes into material?
Right, all of it probably. They probably took none of that. They probably all went into making these fucking things, and they're great. God, they're so good in this.
Yeah, and they said it was a brutal shooting schedule because they wanted so much done with these little puppets and models in such a little time that they're like, hey, so there's supposed to be 8 critters. They ended up only making 4 like fully functional ones. Then they made a few other ones for background, and they made ones like hand puppets for biting.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had to make a specialty one for the one that eats the cherry bomb.
Because it blows up.
Yeah, because it blows up. And it was like standing and walking. And on the other puppets, none of their legs were functional. And most of their hands weren't functional too. So when you actually look at these puppets for them and models, their hands are just to the sides falling.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like gravity's just,
mm-hmm.
That's it. They have no real function. And that's what I kind of love, because you look at the illustration on the cover, it's the exact same. Like the arms almost look like they're useless.
And I think that's a testament to the Chiodo brothers. They had the foresight to know that we're not going to be able to move these arms. What do we do with them to still make them look interesting on this thing, even though we can't do anything with them? And they found a way to kind of put them in front and just let them hang there, like you're saying, lifeless, and still make them look iconic.
Yeah, it's a great concept design. I think that's why they won this, the bid, because a lot of special effects crews will put in bids to companies,
right,
to how much it will cost, and hopefully they win, and hopefully they bid high enough where they can actually make money off of it. That's one thing that always bothers me about it. Like, shouldn't they bid? Shouldn't they like give? This is how much money we're going to give you to do this. What's the other amount for you to actually make money on top of it? But it's just like a straight bid.
Yeah.
So if you bid too low, it's your fucking fault.
Yeah, you bid. That's the money you offered.
But yeah, they did a great job doing it, especially building the large one, because the large one wasn't even supposed to be a major part of the story. They changed the story as they were going along, that the big one would grow at the end, and that would be their selling point. Well, they put together a suit like 4 foot for a little person to be in, and they're like, yeah, that's why it has nowhere near the amount of motor skills as the other ones. It just basically is there, and that's why it's not used a lot.
But that works to the movie's advantage, because it's like, it's almost enticing to the viewer. It's like, ooh, look at that big one or whatever, but we don't see a lot. Of it. It's like the shark in Jaws. It's like withholding with purpose almost a little bit. And
and they're withholding for the sheer fact is like they couldn't make their mouths move. They couldn't make the eyes blink. It's basically a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
A really good Halloween costume.
But essentially, it's the cover of the movie. That's what we're looking at on the cover, is the giant one, not the little ball one. So, like, of course it took off. Of course it was a selling point. Another thing I wanted to mention about the marketing of this movie, the selling of this movie, is the trailer markets this as a horror movie.
Oh, totally.
And the rest of them, it doesn't, because the rest, at this time, the tone had been established or whatever. But this is marketed as like, what are these things under the stairs? Where did
Yeah.
they come from? What are they here to do? And they, and then it cuts to like the dad getting bit and stuff like that. Like very, the attack scenes and the horror scenes in the movie. This is not marketed as the kind of comedy weird thing it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. I guess maybe back then you had it was horror. I don't think horror comedy was respected back then.
It was sort of like the thing. It was the thing that was on everybody's mind because it was the thing everybody was doing. But I guess it didn't sell. You know what I mean? Like it existed and everybody was doing it, but like it wasn't what you would want to market, because look at any of them. Look at The Night of the Creeps. You look at Killer Clowns. Killer Clowns a little bit, obviously, but like still, they're more marketing the horror aspects of the movie than they are the comic aspects.
Yeah, I don't think you could truly get away with it. I mean, because you had Evil Dead 2, but that wasn't like a massive hit that I know of. I mean, on home video it was, but I don't think it really got like to the big until maybe Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Where Freddy became,
probably more
where Freddy became such a personality of humor that people, I mean, it seems like as franchises go along, they always get goofy.
Right. But it was like, I feel like, with Nightmare 4, it was like when everybody realized it was like, oh, we're all doing this all already and people like this, so let's keep it up type thing, as opposed to before when it was just sort of on everybody's mind as a filmmaker, but they weren't advertising it as so. They weren't flashing it.
Yeah, I mean, because look how much Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, how much that hurt them.
Right.
They're like, we're just going full satire.
Yeah.
And it didn't work in the theater at all.
But now, look at how fucking beloved
now
it
it's
is.
a cult. But usually when you're a cult movie, you didn't make a ton of money.
Yeah, and I don't think any, outside of Critters being a hit, I don't think any of those fucking movies did. None of them made money then. They all became hits later.
Yeah, as soon as you shoved them on TV, it seemed like every day they were playing.
Mm-hmm. And then it was like, and then a whole generation, us, fell in love with them.
But getting into the fun side characters, the sheriff, I almost
Emmett Walsh.
Oh gosh, he's so good. And what am I thinking? Blood Simple.
Yeah,
for the Coen Brothers.
Mm-hmm. His breakout kind of movie.
Yeah. And of course, I also know him from Missing in Action.
Oh yeah, I've never seen that one, so
you'll see.
I've only seen 3.
Yeah, probably the worst.
The one that we talked about.
He's been in so much, over 200 titles.
He's in a pretty great episode of Tales from the Crypt called Collection Completed, that if you guys like that show or are interested in that show, you should check out his episode. It's really fucking weird and funny.
Oh yeah, I can imagine, because he just seems to, he's got such good camera presence.
Yeah, exactly, that's what it is. He's so watchable every time he's on screen.
Yeah. And then obviously we already talked about Lynn Shay a little bit, but she's such a goofy character. Like when she rejects the one cop's date, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be mean to you, but I really do have to go home and wash my hair tonight." And I was like, "Is that a real excuse?"
No, I think she was just letting him down, but it's also like,
but
she doesn't have a filter. I think that's her problem. I think she's just like, I'm gonna say whatever comes to mind. And like,
but she really did wash her hair, because when she returns that night and the critters are attacking and she's trying to get a hold of, she's taking all the calls. She's got her hair. Was it in curlers? I think it was in curlers.
Was it like curlers in a net type thing?
Net?
Yeah,
I don't know, something.
I think it was a whole setup. Yeah.
I don't know, ladies. Is that is washing your hair a big deal? Like, do you only do that every couple, like 3-4 days? What? I know there's such thing as like a dry shampoo, so they don't have to wash it and they keep that full body. I don't know. I'm really talking out of my ass here. I don't know.
I take 2 showers a day usually and wash my hair both times. So
I know.
I'm a bit of a.
I'm a clean. Yeah,
clean
I'm a
person.
shower freak.
I'm a bit of a shower freak and a clean person, so I don't know. But
during the summer, sometimes I get in and I just like let the water hit me for about a good 5 minutes, get out and dry myself. Don't even use shampoo because I've already showered that morning.
During the summer, it's like 3-4 showers if I can get them in. Like, it's probably more just like a tick or like something wrong with me, but whatever.
Well,
let's move on.
There's definitely something wrong with us. There's a little bit of information for all of you on us. I do like how this movie embraces that it is a quote-unquote Gremlins ripoff and everything like that, because they put a lot of little, I don't know if they're Easter eggs or whatever, like nods. First, a critter eats E.T.
Yeah.
Where he looks at him and says, like, what are you?
Yeah.
And he just bites his head off.
Yeah.
They do the toilet for Ghoulies.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was a nod.
Yeah, I mean, this was the same year as Ghoulies, so
yeah,
I'm sure it was.
They put the Ghostbusters, basically the Ghostbusters logo on the back of the dad's bowling shirt.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of a ghost, it's just a bowling pin, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little 80s nods here. None better than when E.T. gets his head bitten off. Because I don't know if you know this about me. I think I've said this before. I'm not really an E.T. fan.
So you're wrong. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's a fantastic movie. I can watch it.
I'm just giving you shit.
Well, I can watch it and be like, this is a fantastic movie. This is absurdly good. Everything's right about it. But I'm like, I never want to watch it. I just killed Matt with my E.T. Oh, yeah. I mean, you could give me Critters any day of the week over E.T. Dead. All right, this is a solo podcast now. Cut some of that out.
Damn.
I also wrote, watching the Kreitz fuck up a room is very peaceful. It's like my zen moment. You know how yours is revenge films when the bad guy gets blowed up? Mine is watching little creatures fuck shit up.
Yeah, no, that's a good, valid thing, I think. Like, I feel like I don't get the satisfaction you do, but I get it. You know what I mean? Like, that makes sense to me. Yeah. That, like, people would get satisfaction of watching shit get wrecked. You know what I mean? Like, just like a room getting torn apart. I get a little bit of satisfaction out of it too. Now that we're talking about it, like I do like seeing kind of like destruction of something that's like set up. You know what I mean? Like a room that's been put together and decorated, just being torn apart. There is something a little satisfying about it.
Love it. And I was getting a little bit of a Terminator vibe from the Bounty Hunters. How they had like no emotion and they're just like walking through. I wonder if the Bounty Hunters were kind of loosely based on Terminator.
Maybe like a light spoof type thing of the Terminator a little bit.
A character we haven't talked much about is Charlie.
That's Don Keith Opper, right?
Yeah. Which he did a few that he was writing as the movie is going on. I don't know how much he did. It was very hard to tell. You know, I don't really like him in the first one.
No, I agree, actually. And you know what? When I think I was younger and I watched this movie, I think I did. But now as kind of an adult, I'm a little annoyed by him in this movie. Like... Yeah. Like when a lot of times when a character is like sitting there telling the truth and no one believes him, I feel really bad for him. It's just like, oh, why don't you believe him? This one, when he was running around doing it, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't believe you either. Exactly. You're only just making this worse for yourself, dude. Like, just keep your fucking mouth shut. Like, you're gonna help everyone out by shutting up. You know? Yeah, I just didn't. I don't know. I remember liking him though in the second one. Yeah, I'm sure his character is a little bit. I need to go back and rewatch it, but I'm sure his character is a little bit better developed or better handled as the series goes on because he's in all of them. Yeah, he's the only actor that repeats in all four of the films. I hope they put him in a cameo or something in the TV show. Oh, I'm sure they're going to. They have to. Yeah. He's from Chicago, by the way. Is he really? Yeah. Does he live here still? Should I give him a call? Should we screen Critters? I don't know if he still lives here. But his dad was a salesman here, and he was born here. And Interesting. Something to keep in mind. I thought that was very curious because there's someone else here, Chicago-born too. I wrote it down. Oh, Billy Zane. Oh, okay. So let's get into Billy Zane. Man, he gets his hands bit off. First of all, he comes in, like before I was saying, way back in the beginning of this podcast, he comes in like a rebel without a cause. Right.
And then he sits down at the dinner table. He's super polite to Dee Wallace.
Right.
Oh, this is one of the best meals I've ever had. You have a lovely kitchen. And she's like putting her hands into his lap and trying to...
Yeah, I love the fact that the girl is the sexually aggressive one in this one. And he's kind of like the shy, like nice guy a little bit in here. Even though he looks... Like you said, like kind of like 80s bad boy. But she is like the really aggressive one, like wants to sneak off into the barn to fuck. Like,
and he's like, I don't know if we should. Don't worry, they never come in here. And then he gets fucked up.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, he didn't even do anything bad. You killed Billy Zane, and he was actually kind of a good guy.
That's what's so funny about like his section of the movie here. I love it. I love that. I love that dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, it's funny because it's not what's supposed to happen in a horror movie. Usually the nice one. Well, I guess they did make out, so they both were,
But she didn't die.
No, she didn't, because they just. I kind of forgot she was in the film most of the time.
Yeah, she's not really important after that scene. She doesn't really have anything to do after that scene.
I think she just comes at the end to scream.
Yeah, but it's pretty much Scott Grimes' movie at that point. Yeah. And Dee Wallace.
Dee Wallace, Scott Grimes, they just take over and taking that shotgun, messing up some Krites, and then watching the bounty hunters just dismantle their house going after the Krites. Again, I was very peaceful at that moment.
That's amazing.
I was like, everything is right in my little world.
That's amazing.
And then at the very end, they get the Krites, they blow them all up, hunt them down. The house is destroyed. They give him a little bitty button, and they're like, "Hey, call me sometimes." And then he presses the button when it beeps, and it rebuilds their house. And I was like, "Can I get one of those?" What is that?
Yeah, right. Space. They clean for you, and then they rebuild your house for you, and it's great. It's like, will it do my homework too? That's like what I want that thing to do. Yeah,
and another thing I didn't realize in this is like when the bounty hunters are kind of like an odd mentor to Scott Grimes.
Yeah,
you would think he would be the character they would take, and in the second one, he would return as a bounty hunter. Because I could have seen this movie going, his entire family dies, and then he leaves with the bounty hunters. Like, well, I've got nothing here.
Right. No.
Instead, somehow Charlie goes with them. Yeah. I don't even know if do they even show Charlie getting the ship? Or
no.
Charlie just follows behind
him?
Yeah,
Charlie's like, I'm going to go too. There's nothing for me here. And
yeah,
I'm
like a lost puppy.
And I'm like, okay, good. Get rid of him.
I know. I was the same exact way. I'm like, man, I really don't give a shit about you.
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know what the difference is between like watching it as like a 10-year-old versus watching it like now. But like, Charlie is so useless to me at this time. But back when I saw it as a kid, I was like, oh, Charlie, he's fun. Whatever. He's the quirky weird guy in town. At this time, maybe it's just because I'm too grown up now. And I'm like, shut up. You're just making it worse. Go away.
I also didn't realize the writer at the beginning put in that like Charlie was a pitcher. And no one, but he's like, I used to have one hell of a heater. And then the aliens visited me and I lost it all.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, right, Charlie. No, it's because you're a drunk.
Yeah. Your teeth aren't talking to you. You're just fucking drinking too much moonshine over there behind the barn.
Yeah. And then he throws the Molotov cocktail, like the impossible throw into the ship and blows up the last critter. I was like, oh, look at you, writer. You did it.
But not the last critter. Because we get
our
typical 80s stinger ending where there is still a critter underneath the house.
Bob Shaye was huge into this.
Oh, I just think everybody at this time was huge into this.
Like Bob Shaye, there's multiple New Line movies that do this. Like he was in love with it. Remember, Wes Craven didn't want to do that at the end of
it's true, yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Bob Shaye was basically forced him.
And I don't even know... I feel like he didn't necessarily have sequels on the brain. It was more just like, I think he liked having the bad guy win.
Well, his explanation was he's just like, he wanted to give an audience a last jolt all the time. He wanted them to leave the theater with that like that adrenaline rush every time they
left. Like the critters are still out there. Yeah. Freddy's still out there.
Like the he wanted New Line to be like that. When they leave the theater, they were always like on a high.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So yeah, as much as fucking weird as Bob Shea is, he's such a wacky genius.
He's a genius.
Yeah.
I would never argue, as much as we make fun of him and shit like that,
Yeah.
I would never argue the fact that dude is an absolute genius.
Well, I mean, he's the kind of guy. I mean, he started out like basically distributing movies from college kids.
Yeah.
And he started the business out of his apartment, you know, where he was just like putting together these, getting the reels and then giving them to the theaters. And you gotta remember, he was the guy who was putting John Waters' films in a theater.
John Waters and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When nobody else would put Texas Chainsaw Massacre out, there was fucking Bob Shea being like, keep it on screens, keep it going.
Yeah. And then that just turned into slowly, finally getting into, you know, I mean, obviously Freddy, you know, the house that Freddy built. But, you know, you got to give him credit on a lot of other things. He was really good, or at least people that he hired, really good at finding young talent and basically working them to the bone because he could, and spending very little on money to turn a pretty good profit on a lot of movies. I mean, Wes Craven, I forget the director for Critters 2, but, you know, he's...
Mick Garris. Who's
he's
legend now.
Yeah. And I'm thinking the writer... There's so many.
Frank Darabont, Chuck Russell. It's Peter Jackson with the Lord of the Rings movies gave him his first kind of big shot. Like, dude was a genius, and he knew how to pick talent. Stephen Hopkins, we talked about him with Predator 2. Rennie Harlan. He found Rennie Harlan from those fucking weird German movies he was making. Like,
wasn't Rennie Harlan also the one that just wouldn't leave them alone? Like,
yeah, but also they were like, all right, look at him.
He's like, no, guys, I did prison. You should really give me a shot.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. Just leave us alone. You can have the fourth one.
Biggest fucking nightmare movie of the series. Like
the fourth one?
Yeah, it's the most money making one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's not generally considered to be the best or anything, but it is the most money made.
No, it's
the fourth one.
I always remember the fourth one is the one where they used an invisible Freddy to fight.
I think that's that's the fourth one. It's because they ran out of money.
Yeah.
Genius, though. Genius of Bob Shea.
As soon as I saw that, like, after, you know, doing this podcast, learning more about movies, and then when I watched it, I go, now that's fucking pulling that is really just taking the audience for a ride there. They're like, no, everybody, he's invisible. He's invisible. That's why I can't see him.
You know what, though? When you're a 13-year-old boy watching that movie, you fucking believe every second of that, though. You don't question it until you get old and jaded like us.
I don't even think I'm jaded. I'm just like looking and go, this is what they can get away with.
I'm jaded.
Yeah. Well, when you've watched as many hateful Christian movies as me.
Yeah. That'll do it.
I'm dead inside. I don't really have a lot of behind the scenes that we haven't already gone over. I do know that the eggs were modeled after, let me actually find my notes here so I don't blah, blah, blah. After what kind of fruit? There's some type of like.
I saw
fruit.
it. Scroll down a little further. I saw it on here. There it is.
Sugar apples. I thought that was hilarious. I also, going more into this. So there is this small director called Jordan Downey who loved Critters and everything like that. And I ended up looking up, and he really wanted to direct the web series. I'll put a link to it to show his like 6-minute short film. He did Thanksgiving, I think, and everything. I just think this 6-minute short film is really good. A really good fan film. I miss fan films. This is a huge thing, I would say, in the early 2000s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The whole even the late 2000s, there was a bunch of them too.
It was fun. It was fun to see it. Now all these directors obviously can take out HD cameras and make decent ones. Looking at the shorts that was in What Is Sending Horrorama, you're like, oh man, it's so cool. A lot of people can make movies now. A lot of people can't make money off them because the market's so saturated.
Yeah. But
back then, the cameras were shitty.
Yeah, that's true. In 2000, it was a Best Buy camera.
And I miss a little bit of that, even though watching them is sometimes a struggle.
Jordan Downey though I don't think he directed. I think he just wrote or produced it or something. He did a movie that's on the fest circuit right now called The Head, where he kind of gets to play with that. It's about a Viking who kills different monsters, and he kills this one monster whose head, he takes the head of every monster he kills, and one accidentally comes back to life, but it's just a head. So he kind of gets to do the Critters thing with this killer head in this movie, The Head. So it's on the circuit right now. If it comes through your town, check it out. It's pretty good. I saw it in Colorado at the Telluride Horror Show. It's pretty good. So he's working still, Downey. So that's good. I'm glad that he still gets to make stuff.
Yeah, I watched 2 of his shorts, and the amount of detail he puts in these things, I'm just really surprised he hasn't gotten more opportunities.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
He's on the rise, I think. I think with The Head doing so many festivals and everything like that, he's going to get his shot to kind of get a mid-budget movie next. That's the beginning, I think, for him.
So that's
him and his crew, the other 2 guys that did Thanksgiving. The 3 of them are doing things. I will.
I'm surprised we haven't talked about the director, since he did Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Mighty Ducks, all kinds of other things before he fell off the cliff with the rock star. This is our kind of director.
Yeah, this is the guy that made our childhood. Yeah, Bill and Ted, this, and Mighty Ducks. God, it's all I need in this world.
Yeah, he had one hell of a run going on. From Critters, the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, to Mighty Ducks, to Mr. Holland's Opus.
Everybody saw that movie. I didn't, but everybody else did.
Yeah, I saw it. That's one I'm like, I mean, it's good. I see it. It's good. It's not for me.
He's a talented guy, and it shows in this movie. He's a great director, especially for 80s stuff. He gets it. Yeah. He gets the tone with the humor and the horror very well.
All right, so obviously we both think you should watch this film. Got anything else to add?
No, I do. I will point out, though, just like I talked about with Goonies, this one, because I saw it later, doesn't have like that sort of super connection with me. This one is one that I think like the horror kind of gatekeepers that exist today really hold dear. It's like this one, Killer Clowns, Monster Squad. This is one that like the gatekeepers that kind of get annoying, cling on to a little bit. And I don't get me wrong, I love this movie too, but I am sometimes annoyed by sort of the fandom of this movie and how like other movies can't exist, but this one can type thing. This is one of those for me.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, this is one that I see the gatekeepers clinging on to annoyingly a little bit too much. And just like the stuff I see on the internet and stuff like that.
Oh.
Not to be a negative new, but I do love this film. It's just sometimes some of the love for this movie gets a little annoying.
Is it because of the Kyoto brothers?
I think it's just because it's one of those 80s movies. It's one that like that generation, the generation that's just slightly a little older than us, grew up with. Yeah. So they cling on to it like a motherfucker. And it gets a little annoying.
You don't know horror, okay, man? Like, oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, those people. But I love this movie. I do. How could you not? It's so charming.
Those are the same people that are, yes, I do love this. Those are the same people that are like, man, see, that's not really horror.
Yeah.
That's not a real horror film. And you're like, what the fuck does that mean?
But then they're also the same people that all put like Hereditary as their #1 movie of the year. And it's like, get a different opinion. You know what I mean? Like, you can love Hereditary. It's a great movie.
Yeah,
but
I love Hereditary.
But like, why? I feel like the gatekeepers only like the same thing that each other like. And that's it.
Oh,
and they just keep it. You just keep it going. Yeah, it's the hive mind gatekeeper thing. Yeah.
It's that stuff. The elitist, the one that gets me, the hive mind, I get. The social media has created more and more hive minds than ever before.
Yes.
I'm just kind of ignoring it now because I've ranted. I feel like we've ranted about it so much.
We talk about it all the time.
Yeah, I feel better about it now because I kind of just feel sorry for them.
Yeah, a little bit. But it is sort of still a little bit of my crusade to kind of break the hive mind a little bit. Yeah. You can like Critters. I love Critters, but like other stuff too, you know?
I just don't like the elitists where they're like telling you it's not real.
Yeah.
That's not really.
Your opinion's wrong, man.
I'm like, you do know horror has like 100 subcategories, right? And some of those categories go even down a farther, And there's also movies. This is one thing that always annoys me. There are movies with horror elements. You know what I mean? Like, I would consider The Quiet Place a suspense movie that has a suspense monster movie with horror elements. That's a horror movie.
Yeah.
But it's also a monster movie.
Yeah.
And it's also
a family drama.
It
can be all those things.
I never, that's what
Why do we have to put it in little boxes?
That's why I don't like the elitist approach of like, you don't know what you're talking about. As soon as someone says that, I'm like, okay, well, you've completely eliminated this conversation.
Yeah, we're not going to get along.
You just put a wall up, Trump.
Yeah. So I don't mean to be negative because we've been saying so many positive things about Critters, but I do have that feeling with Critters. I feel like it is one of those that gets lumped in with those negative people, unfortunately.
Okay, well, fuck those people.
Yeah, no, fuck.
Unless they want to give us money, then yay!
We'll take it. We'll talk about Critters all fucking day if you want.
Let's get on to the museum.
This is the second time I've had to reclaim my property from you.
That belongs in a museum.
So do you.
All right, this is the part of the show where we put something in our museum. We're just like Indy. We're going out there to bring it back. What are we putting in the listener submitted wing?
Yeah, I mean it's obvious and easy to put the Critters in there because the effects are so good, but I think I'm actually going to specifically put in the giant critter and the use of the giant critter in this movie because I think it's really fun and it's really effective in this movie. So I'm going to put the giant critter in my section here.
I'm going to put something that I didn't think I was going to, but kind of like when we were doing this podcast, I picked it up. I'm going to actually put Scott Grimes' performance. For the reason is like because I hate so many child actors.
It's true. They're terrible in these movies usually. And he's great.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I'm only putting you in because you're like, you're on the top of the shit mountain, but you're like actually good. You're a piece of gold on the shit mountain.
He's talented as fuck as a kid actor. He's good in this movie.
I would call him every bit as good as Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone.
100% agree with you. Wow, 100% agree with you.
Scott Grimes, you're really good. Why weren't you used more? Is it because he's a redhead?
I mean, I think he's had a quietly nice career.
No, he's
showing up in everything from Band of Brothers to second. He's in the second movie. He comes back for the second movie. How rare is that to have happen? Like a child actor kind of come back as like a teenager adult in the second one. That never happens.
And he's in a hot Fox Orville. He's
still working.
Yeah,
That's why, because he's fucking talented.
I'm pretty sure when someone sees him, like Seth MacFarlane probably saw him as like, wow, why aren't you in more?
You're good. You're good.
You're going to be in my show, which I've never seen, but I've seen clips of, and it looks like our show, but I don't have time to watch shows.
Oh, shit. Yeah, me neither. I'd love to watch it too, but...
I want to support you. I
can't get 76 different streaming services so that I could watch it, later. I can't watch it live. Shows. I just don't have time for you right now. I want to, but there's too many VHSs in my life in the way. There's too many VHSs in between me and the Orville.
Yeah, my collection is starting to really pile up. I'm going to have to start selling some of these.
Well, since this is like our New Year show, I guess kind of a little bit, since it's the new section of themes, I guess. What do we call it? Like our... like when we pick a category for the month, what was that called?
Our little schnick.
I don't know. Since it's the first one of January, I've made a resolution to myself that I have to watch some of the stuff I have before I buy anything else. Not all of it, some of it.
That's really funny. After I bought all these new tapes, and Sarah gave me tapes for Christmas, that was when I was like, okay, no more.
Right.
Just finish these.
It's not like I want to stop. I'm a collector. I'm going to continue to collect. I just need to take maybe like 6 months and just kind of get through some of what I have before I add any more.
That means I have to go through a lot. But I'm going to do it because they're going to find some gold in there.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so next week, should we let them know what we're doing?
No, we'll keep it a surprise. It's another listener submitted, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Total surprise. Come back next week.
You asked for it, so we're giving it to you.
Yeah, and if you want to submit something else for another month, analogjones@tof@gmail.com. Please rate and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. You can also subscribe on Podbean or YouTube. In case you don't want to do that, we're getting more and more hits on YouTube, putting all these random trailers up and scenes that we post for you guys. It's really nice. It's fun to see all the extra downloads. And I was shocked at how well Surviving the Game and Eye of the Tiger did.
I'm glad. Thank you guys for listening and for liking, to hear us talk about these weird little movies. It's these weird little movies that keep us going,
Yeah, they're fun. I love finding these little odd ones, these little diamonds in the rough.
That's right. Yeah, it's really fun, and it's not that we don't love Critters. It's that balance.
It's already a cult classic. Yeah. It's fun to talk about these though, because we need to get through some of these franchises.
Oh yeah,
where we're like just. It's not so much ignoring. It's just like, I don't know how to fit them in because everyone's already talked about them.
Right.
So this one, like when a listener does, it's like, okay, so maybe you do want us to actually talk about some of these franchises that everyone else has.
Yeah.
So
it's fun. It's fun to bring. It's fun to do it all. So thank you guys for listening and supporting and writing in too. We got a lot of great suggestions so far, and like the ones we've picked are the ones that either we had or were easy for us to find or whatever. But we are gonna, I know we said we weren't gonna buy any more stuff, but we are gonna continue to look for some of the other stuff that you suggested us because we want to do them still. So keep them coming, and thank you for writing in the first place.
Yes, and I hear the couple of you out there. We will get to Godzilla, but the problem is you didn't write an email, and that was the rule.
We'll do it in May when the new one comes out.
That should be fun.
I'm gonna do one or two of them at least before the new one comes out.
I have so many Godzilla films now, but 1998 just has to be done.
Okay. It's not that I'm dreading watching the movie. I'm just dreading the fact that it's gonna have to be another movie that I love that everybody else hates that I'm gonna have to defend for another hour.
You're gonna have to defend it. 'Cause I fucking hate it. Greatest teaser trailer I've ever seen. To the worst fucking load of garbage.
It's a bad movie. There's no arguing that. I just also love it still a little bit too.
Sometimes I hate shitting on the movies because I know there's so much work in them. But with that one, I'm like, no, I feel okay about
it. Coming soon in May.
All right. Take it easy. I hope 2019 treats us well. Remember, our top 10 list is coming out. And remember to be kind.
And rewind.
Hey, Toxic here.
And Meridon, too.
We're the hosts of the Overleague podcast.
Are you a fan of Overwatch League, or just a fan of Overwatch in general?
Well, if you are, we break down matches and all other Overwatch happenings, and we won't judge your main.
Tune in every other Tuesday to the Overleague on Geekscape, wherever you get your podcasts.